You're welcome to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Tonight, I'm joined by Dr. Augustine Okolie. He is a policy and management consultant and a former director of the National Orientation Agency here in Enugu State. Thank you so much, Dr. Okolie, for joining us on the Eastern Eye. I'm sure you're already aware that the governor has reshuffled his cabinet. Some people were calling for it, maybe some people were indifferent. But what's your take on the whole changes that have taken place in the last 24 hours within the Enugu State Executive Council?
Well, I look at it, the cabinet reshuffle or rejigging, like a team. You know, in a team, the coach is to be blamed if they lose. They hail the coach if they win. So they play different roles in the pitch. And it is the duty of the coach to know who is playing his wing well, to complement with the team spirit, with the team focus and the team agenda. So after 2 years, that is half of the first instance, I'll be able to analyze, able to look at the performances in a Likert scale of 1:5 at the end of the day. The governor as the head, the CEO, and commander-in-chief of the council. We now look at those who did not perform well, those who are waiting in the bench. Then he will now reshuffle so that, it's watching the ball, focus on the ball, eyes on the ball, and that is the goal of the team. So I think it's a normal thing that after some time, the government will look at the performances, and sometimes you could be performing well, but you're not playing according to the team's objectives. So the need to tinker, the need to rejig and reshuffle your team. So that is the team. He said it will be slim, he said it will be disruptive. He said, he told us before he came that it will be innovative. I think that is what is going on. So it is normal for me that at a point, you can play them full 90 minutes, you can play them for 5 minutes, as the case may be. There are some people who come within 2 months, will not be playing according to the style, they will drop them. The important thing is that the objective, the goal of the team, that is the Executive Council of Enugu State, or indeed in the federal cabinet. So it is a person who knows the match plan, the game plan, and the objective of the team. So they reshuffle to achieve their aims and objectives. All right,
the general knows his troops. We'll take another quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Godfrey Chikwere, the general manager, Legacy 95.1 FM, Abakaliki. Is also a public affairs analyst. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. We are now joined by Godfrey Chikwere, the General Manager, Legacy 95.1 FM, Abakaliki. He's also a public affairs analyst. Thank you. Welcome to our studios, Mr. Chikwere.
Thank you, Alex.
So, Ebonyi State also had a bit of the rejig. Enugu had theirs yesterday, but Ebonyi, it was last week, I think.
Yeah.
So, help us put it in perspective. I think about 4 commissioners were affected in the cabinet rejig in Ebonyi. Help us break it down exactly. The Commissioner for Information, the Commissioner for Rural Development, and the other commissioners who were affected by the rejig. What was the governor give any reason for reshuffling the individuals involved?
Whether a governor is giving any reason or not, the practical interpretation is that when you are moved from a position to the other, it means you are not doing well where you are, or they want you to do more. What happened in Ebonyi, I wouldn't call it, for semantics, you can call it cabinet reshuffling. But basically, I call it shifting cultivation, if you did agriculture very well. What do I mean by that? You moved a commissioner for information, an engineer, without media background. Initially was the commissioner for information, that is Engineer Jude Ogbodo, now in charge of rural development. Ordinarily, that is where you would have fit in. That area does, it has a lot to do with construction and the rest. The Mbah is still cool, maybe. Good enough, they are from the same local government as are not. was the former council chairman of Ezza North local government. I can't think of any other political engagement he had before that local government administration. Then the one that shook me the most, even though I have been critical of his person, is the professor in charge of primary and secondary education, Professor Obash. Excellent lecturer from the background check from Ebonyi State University. He became commissioner for primary and secondary education, and very unfortunate. You can say that much has been done within that area. Almost most of the primary and secondary school within the urban cities, which would have been a great specimen for anybody coming into the state to look at. There were nowhere to, nothing to write about it. You still have a situation, though not common in Ebonyi, where students still go to school around 10 a.m. in public schools. I mentioned it in a public conversation that they are turning most of the public schools in Ebonyi into den of house helps. So maybe the governor had the understanding. You give it to him, he has listening ear. The professor have been moved to border peace. A PhD holder have been moved from border peace to Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. But they are both in that issue before Dr. Elang moved to Alex Ogbodo Federal University. The issue is this. I have said it time and time again. The current capacity of Ebonyi State shouldn't be up to 37 commissioners. Ebonyi is 13 local government. In terms of voting strength, they are the least in southeastern part of the country. And if you check, Ebonyi currently has the largest ESCO in southern Nigeria, out of the 17 states in southern Nigeria. It shouldn't be. A governor should be abreast with his ESCO members. And this thing has to do with size. What am I trying to say? Today we have Ministry of Commerce and Industry in Ebonyi. We have Ministry of Human Capital Development. We have Ministry of Investment. We have Ministry of Job Creation. Under the past administration, all those things were within commerce and industry. We also have Ministry of Market Development. Sometimes these commissioners, as human beings, would get confused. Where would this person's job stop? Where would this person's job start? So I think what I will advise, and I've given this advice over time, if you want to empower people, you can empower them away from serving as ESCO members. ESCO member is a temple of sharing intellectuals that will impact the life of people within that environment. So what happened in Ebonyi, like I said, is better described as shifting cultivation, not reshuffling. Because if you talk about reshuffling, if you talk about leadership, one is setting a structure, two is forming a team, the third one is about then the team, implementation of policies and programs. If you don't have people that the governor has 20 people's charter of needs. The first need in his program is education. The question today is, where is Ebonyi in education? You can give it to Ebonyans that each time you have basic core raw academic competition with an Ebonyan, they are blessed in that way, naturally intelligent. He has done a lot of things in the area of education and improving the whatever subvention that is given to the university, increased the salary of lecturers. He also gave them, I think he increased the allowances and the rest of that. But to me, I don't know where to start advising the 4 commissioners that were moved within that environment. Dr. Elang was doing excellently well in Ministry of Border Peace. Why did I say that? Since the governor of Ebonyi State, the current governor of Ebonyi State became the governor of Ebonyi State, and Dr. Elang became commissioner for Border Peace, you bear me witness that it is less of communal clashes in Ebonyi. So he did well there. In terms of Eze Chief Tofzo, you see the young man has managed the place very well. You picked a professor who has relatively failed in the Ministry of Secondary and Primary Education to displace somebody who was doing well. What I was thinking that would have happened is you would have started reducing the cabinet. Maybe move the professor to, if it's an agency of the state, allow the senior advocate of Nigeria, Professor Mario Maka, who is Commissioner for Higher Education, to take charge of education. Unfortunately, if you read the last ESCO briefing of the new Commissioner for Information, the governor also warned the Commissioner for Higher Education that he's either going to brace up or he will let loose the hammer of discipline in leadership. So it's so unfortunate that if you look at the academics in his administration, unfortunately, not much positive result can be shown in that.
Yeah, they were given 6 months to sit up or face some punitive measures.
That is Commissioner for Education, yes. Higher Education and Commissioner for Environment.
That's right.
But you can give it to him that from last week to today, the Commissioner for Environment has picked up a lot of things positively is happening within time. Some of us have been very hard on his person.
All right.
And he's very young.
So he can take the shocks. Dr. Okolie, let's come back to you. Enugu's case is slightly different. Two commissioners resigned. Adora Chukwu resigned. I think that of poverty reduction resigned too. I don't have his name in my head right now. But then a number of people came on board. You had 6 new names that came on board. The one that now took charge of works, that's Oko. Engineer Oko took charge of works, and they have Professor Ekutosi Okolie taking charge of poverty eradication, and also have Dr. Sam Obodo for trade and investment, and also Engineer Ben Collins Jr. taking charge of water resources. So there are a few other persons. And the housing, well, I'm talking about the new ones. I'm just focusing on the new ones. Somebody moved. Somebody moved. So just help us put into perspective, what do you think determined the governor's decision in, moving some of the commissioners around, especially people who are very focused on the issue of works and then water resources?
Well, I cannot put my finger clearly on the parameters that he used to move people around. I'm tickled because my brother here talked about shifting cultivation or crop rotation, because I belong to that agricultural domain. Well, it's a good thing to do crop rotation, but there are some reasons and purposes. It's a moment to move from one plot of land to another one. And like I used football team to put a kind of analysis in what is going into it. I don't know. Well, I knew that Chikwere, the former commissioner for housing, became party chairman of PDP. I also learned that Adachukwu resigned. I also know that Aka Izaka, former commissioner of information, became council chairman in Udenu local government. But the people who also knew that Ogbodo, who was involved with investment
authority.
I met him the other day. We are doing a tour of facilities at Niger Gas. So I think they are trying to put square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. But like you noted, but it's not slight. The difference between the scenario in Ebonyi is slight years away, because we cannot put your finger. There are a lot of investments going on, so I don't know why Ada was removed or resigned. I knew that it was, Ake Aka, who was also a round peg in the round hole in the Ministry of Information, have to go to Udenu for rural local government administration. And Ogbodo has always been in investment and trade. I think maybe, I don't know whether I can call it so much inactivity or whether it's just a policy trust, or maybe the office is not busy. Because in Enugu, I think they can govern Enugu without commissioners. I think they can, the governor can, if remove constitutional provisions, he can continue to work without commissioners. So I think what is going on in Enugu is that they have a focus, they have their trajectory about where they are going. So but it is necessary for them to shed weight.
Yeah.
But I can't really say this is the reason why the cabinet session. Maybe to fill the gap of those who went to local government and those who went to party.
Yes, that's said. I mean, you can be an excellent technocrat or manager, you're coming from the private sector, but you need people to get things done. I mean, no matter how good you are, even if you're seeing the whole Enugu from where you're seated, you would need people to help you do it. You can't bilocate. The philosophers, they call it bilocation. You can't be here and be in Udenu and be in Uzowani. You will need people to get it done, and you have to choose them.
You see, if you go to the special advisors, the SAs, which some people call kitchen cabinet, I think they are loaded. So many people are there. You understand? Like some people, SA on energy, SSA on, what is it called? Energy, and so on. If you work on legal matters, there are some very solid people that are there. The kitchen cabinet is bottom heavy. So I think the members of the cabinet is like a pyramid. Because when he says government is going to be slim, I think he meant the executive council. We're talking about SAs. There are so many SAs, projects, SSA, SA, SPA. There are many. So that is why I think you can even govern without the commissioners. Because talking about ESCO meetings, I don't see so much of meetings, about ESCO meetings coming together to compare notes. And they say even the time they have ESCO meetings, there's not much. So it's not like the previous administrations where ESCO, they start in the morning and end in the evening. They take lunch, they take breakfast, they take dinner. They stay and do a lot of work. But this time around, even commissioners going to government house is not as easy as it used to be.
I mean, typically, the ESCO is supposed to be an intellectual clearinghouse. That's the least.
That's the highest organ.
But I mean, there has to be.
Organ.
I mean, things, policies and programs will need to be debated. They need to be tested. There has to be some empirical verification of certain things before they come out. So you don't come out maybe after 6 months you say you are redoing things, because at the end of the day, let's be clear. Let's be clear about it. The government faced some backlash on the quality of work done on infrastructure. Some smart schools, some contractors did shoddy jobs, and fingers were being pointed, and people needed to be held responsible for that. So, and the Commissioner for Works was moved. And water hasn't gone round. We have to just talk about these things, because at the end of the day, the government need to step up, and the people need to see that they are stepping up. Do you think that with these appointments now done, that we're going to see that last mile performance? Because they're just going to the third year. By next year, the politics will start in earnest.
Well, Alex, you see, what I say is what I see and what I think. I'm not a member of government. So maybe I'm seen from a distance, a very, very far light years distance from there. But from what I hear is that the regularity of ESCO meetings, where people come to defend their policies, or questions are asked, or people bring proposals, bring things to the ESCO for approval and for defense, is not so much witnessed within the past few, either 20-something months I've been in office. So that's why I said that I think the machinery of government could be moving the way they want, even without their commissioners. Because even this work that is going on, I don't know who's supervising it. You see the SPA's projects, SPA's on that. I don't know whether the commissioners are actually in total charge of their ministries in terms of supervision. That's why I'm saying that they are doing well without actually saying that the commissioner is doing well. So the government is doing well. So I think it's a kind of centralized.
Yeah. So typically you will hold authority as it is saddled to you by the governor, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, that someone has powers, it will have to be given to the person by the governor.
Well,
because we've seen dispensations in Enugu right from the time of Chimaroke, right from the time of Sullivan and the time of Ebonyi. There are maybe a commissioner or even a special advisor who is so powerful in the government, and he becomes the fulcrum. If you don't get clearance from him, certain things won't be done. Is that the case?
What I see is that in the past, but I'm mindful of the disruptive nature of this particular administration. It is a mantra. It is a reality that is not the way things used to, go. That is going. Like 2 or 3 months, there may not be ESCO meetings. But the other ones is more regular, where you compare notes, where commissioner goes to supervise and check what is going on, like this works and so on. But the people who check, apart from the SSG office, supervisors, these SAs, they drive around checking the projects, looking it over. I don't know whether commissioner does his own separately. The investments that are coming, I don't know whether it is the commissioner that is facilitating investment or whether some people are facilitating the investments and the trade that is going on. But the trade is going on, investment is going on, and but much is not happening in the ministry. If you come to the ministry, it's so cold, the Ministry of Investment. But in other areas, Like you see the areas of human area like the chieftaincy, the local government, and the rural development. They are very, very busy. If you come there, you hardly find time to see. So,
Okay.
but it depends. Like what is going on, the Commissioner for Transport, in the transport sector, they now brought aviation into that. They also have the hubs, the, what is it called, terminal and terminals in Nsukka, all these things. I think the ministry have, not much to do with those projects.
Okay.
So it is a disrupted and a progressive, innovative governance that we are witnessing for the first time. This is actually unique. So we are understudying. People are being called to come and study Enugu. That it is a unique, way of delivering a project. So, but I don't think you can say the commissioner is not performing when he doesn't do much. I think it is the way it is designed.
That's right.
For the delivery.
You can only exercise powers that are given to you. That's
Yes.
my understanding of your analysis. Godfrey Chikwere, let's get back to Ebonyi State quickly. I will also ask you a few questions about Enugu because you're also from Enugu. So I'll get your thoughts on it. So going back to Ebonyi, because you are a resident there. So what are you seeing from this cabinet? Do you think there is a chance that this current cabinet reshuffle will help pick things up?
Yeah, I think you must taking into cognizance within these few days that Engineer Jude Okolie take mantle of Minister of Rural Development. Even if you follow him on social media, he swung into action. He has been carrying out effective supervision. Like yesterday, I watched one of the clips from his supervision, and he stopped a shoddy job that a contractor is doing there.
Supervision.
So that is supervision. That is supervision. It means that possibly the governor has studied him, that this is where his interest is, and moved him from Minister of Information to Rural Development. And he's doing a nice job there within these few weeks. On the issue of Minister of Information, you wouldn't say the first project, I think the only existing project the current Commissioner of Information has done is to launch his Facebook page. That's the only thing we have seen so far. That was the day before yesterday, and then he advertised them.
I saw that thing on Facebook.
Yeah, so that was his first. And I was thinking that by now he should have done media at all. I had a private media house in Ebonyi State. After the swearing-in ceremony of the current ESCO in Ebonyi, the following day the Commissioner for Information came around, we interacted, and there is something that does for a government. It creates relationship between government and the people. It becomes opportunity to even inform the Commissioner. These are the complaints, maybe from phone-in program or dance participatory program, you look at this direction. But the current Commissioner for Information hasn't done that, unless he has visited the state radio. It's another problem they are having in Ebonyi. Most times, if you speak to people with government-owned media houses, it's assumably government talking to government. Most aggrieved citizens pay attention to private or independent radio stations. So most of their communications are through the government-owned media houses, and not take away the fact that the governor himself, in terms of rural development, I think he's doing a lot. A lot of abandoned rural routes, like the 24-kilometer Esaizulo route, for decades. From that road, you can move from that route to Nkano. The road is on that, I think it's around 60% completion. There's another popular route called Obaga Route, is about 23 kilometers. They're also engaging in, there may be urban renewal in some areas. Poor communication is also a problem in the government. If you ask some of his handlers, they will tell you that your guy doesn't like media. I did an analysis yesterday. I prayed that what happened to Soludo will happen to the governor of Ebonyi State. Soludo was doing a whole lot of job. He kept quiet until Anambra became popular for insecurity. At that point, he was spending more. About 2 months ago, every day, is either Soludo is in one national TV or the other. He became his own image maker. But these are the things, if you take it procedurally, within time you cover it. So, because if you say, when they say that the governor, some of his aides will say that our guy doesn't like media. Why did he appoint SO New Media? Why did he appoint Chief Press Secretary? Commissioner for Information is there. And he has spent ₦1 billion in rebuilding or rehabilitating the state media house. I was thinking that by now the state media house will at least be in one of the cable televisions. They are not there yet. In rural area, you also know that he sent some persons out of the country for overseas scholarship. The problem there is that the difference between his analysis about the person of Peter Mbah is that the governor, I think he allows participatory governance. The ESCO meeting is usually once in a week. Just like Chief said here, under General Chief David Mezumai, I think sometimes they dismiss ESCO meeting 12 midnight. Yes. The current governor is not doing that. I think most times they end around maybe from 12 to 6. But the problem we are facing is some proper communication is not there. Since Professor Wabashi took over border peace and conflict resolution, let me break it down. That ministry is basically for chieftaincy, town union rivalries, settling communal disputes. I have not heard anything from him. Then, Dr. Lang has called a meeting who took over from him as Commissioner for Primary and Secondary Education. Yesterday, I learned he had interaction with head teachers across the state. And when you see somebody making such move, you know that when teachers hear that commissioner has called us or head of schools have called us, you put spirit of awakening spirit in them. So that is it. Then I have mentioned that these are the areas. But my advice, I'll keep saying this. The best way to, even in families, it takes the grace of God that a man have decided to give birth to 15 children. In that family, you see a criminal there. In that family, you see a responsible child. It is difficult. I can't think of any family that has up to 15 children and all of them are responsible. It's also like that in governance. You should be able to have a family you can manage. You should be able to, even if I'm the governor of Ebonyi State today and I have this type of ESCO, sometimes I'll get confused on who to call when issues comes up. I made reference to Ministry of Ebonyi State currently has Ministry of Aviation. Of course, by Nigerian Constitution, that is a breach of Nigerian Constitution. Aviation is an exclusive legislative list.
No, I think
it has it been broken?
Yes, it has.
But as at the time they were appointed, but as at the time the appointment was made, it wasn't that because the past governor started it.
But you have an airport.
So if you have an airport, now that the railway passed some part of Ebonyi State, will they have a Minister of Railway? Okay, transport will cover that. So my counsel to the governor of Ebonyi State is that the interpretation, anytime you discuss his issue in Ebonyi, everybody will always say he has good intention. It is high time the good intentions start manifesting in terms of democratic or democracy deliverable to the people of Ebonyi State. Time is ticking. And on private discussion, I once told him that you are the youngest governor Ebonyi ever produced as at the time he became the governor. Whatever you do in terms of positive will determine tomorrow if another person comes up to contest. It will be the other person did this. If you come to Ebonyi, if you talk about unity bridges, you remember Chief Martin Wanchelechi. If you talk about free education, how Ebonyi State become what it is in terms of education, you remember Samegu. If you talk about close to 20 flyovers, you remember Devumai. So even though there is some of the legacy projects, you remember Devumai, he introduced a concrete pavement project in southeastern part of the country, though not the first, because if you go to Niger Sem, he has been in existence. The ones at Niger Sem, some of them are up to 70. There you see any breakage there. So if he can focus on, when he started, he said his interest was in human capital development. He introduced the Hawkers empowerment program sometime. It became controversial. He set up a committee today. We are yet to see the outcome of the committee, whether the job was properly done or not. What I will advise the governor of Ebonyi State, effective supervision, and I've kept saying this, he needs to trim his cabinet.
All right, let's come to Enugu, because you are from Enugu State. So let's look at your assessment of what has happened here with the commissioners that have been moved around. Do you think that maybe things will start shaping up for the better?
Just like he said, Peter Mbah came from the business community. He's running Enugu like business. So sometimes most of these governors appoint commissioners to fulfill constitutional or righteousness. They are running the government on their own.
Directly.
So whether he's moving this commissioner from here or there. So if you see how investors are coming into Enugu State, like I said, my observation about Enugu is that the principal officers, that is SAs, SPAs and all that, they are more prominent in governance in Enugu State. And when you see things like that happening, you know that the governor have appointed his friends as SAs and all that. He won't deny that the SS on legal matters is his friend. The immediate past commissioner for works is his friend, who is a staff of Mercedes-Benz before now in Germany. At least the largest extent I know him. He has been moved to housing.
Education, yes.
Yeah, commission. So if you look at administration in Enugu, he's running it like business. The most important thing is that if you come into the Enugu now, you see the ambience that you are in the state capital. But the greatest sin to me that Peter Mbah has committed was about 2 to 3 weeks ago. A day he received the current DIG Zone 6. And he was interacting with DIG when some persons were killed in Nwifuru, and he was saying that these are their picture optics, people that doesn't like his administration. In terms of urban renewal, Peter Mbah has done well. But can you say that of your local government if you visit your local government today? If you go to issues of local government where I'm from today, you can't say that Peter Mbah has done well in terms of rural development. And IBM also use this opportunity to agitate. This is the first time Nwifuru is not producing a commissioner since the creation of Enugu State. So let me also agitate. Is it because you don't get
for your local government?
Even at that. Even at that. That's why I say let me agitate. I'm not saying that it should be given to me. Maybe if we have had a commissioner in this government to be giving him the right feedback with what is happening there in terms of security, because this issue of SPAs, SAs, I can't say for sure that somebody from Nwifuru is there. And we also have our own advantage in Enugu State currently. Most times you don't compare what is happening in Enugu with other Southeast states. People see Enugu as more centralized place in terms of investment and all that. That doesn't mean that other governors in Southeast can't borrow leave from what Peter Mbah is doing in terms of urban renewal. People are now beginning to live life of every weekend. Let's have places who can go. Is there security within urban areas? These are the things that places like Imo State has. But if you come to the issue of urban security, I think Ebonyi State is at a very high level there. You can't hear that somebody was kidnapped within Ebonyi State since the current governor became the governor of Ebonyi State. Communal clashes has gone down. Herders, farmers clashes is scarce in Ebonyi State. So there are areas of strength and weaknesses among them. To me, the summary of administration in Enugu is that Peter Mbah is treating Enugu State as his personal business. And if you know anybody that treats public business as his own, takes care of it to a very large extent. To me, his schools, especially commissioners, the way they are working is just for formality. Yes. Peter Mbah is the governor, is in charge, is the CEO of Enugu State.
I mean, I've asked this question before, but I hope that at the long run this works, because here yesterday we were talking about how politics affects governance. And yes, he wants to run it like a business, but there are other disruptive things apart from his disruptive innovation that is bringing on board. There is a lot of politics in the country, and prominent among that is which political party will he run in 2027 if he decides to run. There are question marks on that. Dr. Okolie, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
there is instability. Yes, I will permit you. Let me just land. There is a bit of instability in the PDP. And we all know what's happening. There's ADC coming up on the horizon. Politics is interfering with everything, no matter the good intention. Just like he said the Ebonyi State governor has good intentions. But at the end of the day, Enugu people will not eat disruptive innovation. They need to be on board too.
Well, if I have to put in there, you see, everything is political. But what we complain about in the past is there's so much politics. Politics dominating, taking 70, 80% of the activities. You have to take a balance. Economy, safety, welfare, security. Well, I think there's an area of disagreement between me and this, my friends. Okay. I don't think any other state have the infrastructure, the preparedness to hold insecurity. The ports have been put in place here. I think 2 places that, are having issues, also one and Isuzo. And like he said, it's a good suggestion, that somebody have to be appointed who will be giving ESCO updates, giving governor updates on Isuzo and also one. Those are the areas that I say they are weak or gray areas. But as for kidnapping, you see, Enugu has, blossomed in terms of development. But politics, like your question is very, very important. Nobody says politics is more important that you cannot allow only politicians to play that. I don't think our governor has politics as priority. And that is when they say it's business, business unusual. Politics is critical. But we are just watching, like we are studying the model that he came home with. Because during the 2027 we will now see whether what he did is working or it will not work. Because as far as I'm concerned now, I cannot put my finger that what he's doing will help him politically. Now, I don't know whether, but some people believe that PDP it gets worse before it gets better, because I've gotten to the nether areas. But the important thing is that at local government levels, I think it has a free hand for local government council chairman and local government party structures to work it out. Like most of the things they are doing, the local government chairman in Enugu are directly replicating them. I don't know of any other local government that are having issues with security apart from these two. I wouldn't write it off that it is not true. Like some people who are working closely with the governor think that those who want to smear them will use security at issues or also worry. But I don't think they are lying. If people who are complaining and pointing, they say where a child is crying and pointing at. If the father is not there, the mother is certainly there, or the guardian. So the truth is that you cannot get it 100%, but you have some high areas and low areas. Like I said, we are watching the model. We have never seen this model of disruptive innovation before. So in terms of infrastructure, I think things are moving gradually. For the past 2 years, I think what he was able to achieve is more than some people who spent 8 years. They couldn't achieve it. So we don't want to say, yes, it is Uhuru, but we don't want to put him below 50%. I think he's on the higher scale in terms of general achievement, but there are some areas of low. Even the trade and investment, you can see that the person there, if you don't know what is going on, you think the person has scored very high because they are achieving it without the input of the commissioner. The commissioner's office was so quiet that if you come, they won't know that it's a ministry. Then there are some areas you come, you see activities bustling, like if you come to the Ministry of Housing, that Chikwere just left, Ministry of Housing and Rural Development, the Ministry of Local Government, Rural Development and Chieftaincy. If you come there, you see, because that is people, the human angle ministries, whereby the, the local government issues, the rural development issues, President General's matters, like this border that my friend is talking about, and the chieftaincy. See, in this place, to be a high chief or Igwe or something is a lot of matter, and government don't want to deal with it. So you have a capable hand, somebody who's trying to do that. But you can see that Ake is assigned and went to the local government for almost 9 months. Nobody knew that he was not there. But we have so many SPAs on media and new media.
Are you sure that's the case?
Well,
that his absence was not noticed.
Nobody replaced him. I think the person he now put now, I think he's coming from the mass communication area.
I think he's in academia.
Abo, yes. Yeah. Abo is, yes. So I think he's a journalist. But we don't know whether the social media, you see some people believe in social media. Some
of course, the word has changed.
Yes, irregular media.
Yes.
So the issue is that it depends on the one that they use in assessment, in evaluation of, in evaluation report.
No, the evaluation is about
Alex,
someone who will sell the government, someone who will be a proper spokesman of the government. It's not. We are not talking about.
I'm not talking about the governor was not there, and nobody noticed
that he was not. I wanted to talk about politics in Ebonyi State because you mentioned issue of politics. That is where you can now give it to the governor of Ebonyi State. He has played better politics than governors. If you wait the option,
he's a politician.
If you wait the option of, if you give it to him playing politics, he has played politics, perfect politics to 80%. This is the first time all the known names in Ebonyi State are on the same page. Under Samegu, you know the crisis between him and Pius Anyima, Senate President. Some persons lost their life because of that fracas. Under His Excellency Chief Martin Wanchelichi, it was the same thing. He wasn't on the same page with Pius Anyima. Then, within that period, I don't think Senator Binoba crossed the State Government House under Chief Martin Wanchelichi. Under Dave Umai, even though he served as 2-time senator, the fracas was still there. But today, the current governor of Ebonyi State, His Excellency Francis Ogbonna Nwifuru, has brought all the stakeholders together. Nobody is having dissenting voices. But let me tell you the disadvantage. Who will now caution him when things are not going right? That's the problem of politics of stakeholders. Now, they've achieved what they achieved. They've started receiving backlash from the day of swearing in. It was after a few months of his swearing in that Charles Otto was tortured, because Charles was assessing him based on his swearing-in speech. But currently, You know, when you remember the story of a man in Rivers State when Rotimi Awechi was the governor, he kept criticizing the governor. Subsequently, he was appointed. And our colleagues asked him one day, you no longer speak. And he said, once if you have food in your mouth, you don't speak.
Yes.
I think that's the problem of stakeholders in Ebonyi. Like the controversy that is rocking Ebonyi today, the issue of the Secretary of Ebonyi State government, about some billions of Naira was found in her account. From the day governor made statement, there is a locutory injunction for temporary forfeiture of that money to federal government. One would have expected that the governor stand that he's a lawyer and the court should be allowed to take his course. I think the first thing should have been telling the SSG to step aside, because documents will be needed within that office. Or honorably, the SSG was adjudged as one of the best lecturers in Ebonyi State University. She was moved from EBSU psychology department as the first female SSG in Ebonyi. Well, some of us are also thinking that for her future and rest, she should also take the honorable side. Also, okay, once this matter is in court, let me stay away from the office. So in terms of politics, and no matter how you look at the person of Nwifuru, he's a good politician. He can manage any human being. And what's my problem is this bringing every stakeholder in Ebonyi together paying off? The answer is no. We're not saying that the controversy, maybe dissenting voices should be amount to insulting a governor or governor. Because, example, what we had a minister of information in the past administration, where a commissioner will come to national television and reduce pious him to nothing, reduce Chief Martin Wantelechi to nothing. We are not saying that such things should come into Ebonyi, but we want to have a situation like what is happening in Lagos. There is something they call a Elders Council. When a governor is not doing well, they should call the governor to order. When now that the complaint of everybody in Ebonyi is that the appointees are not doing well, the governor should now know that people are not going directly on his person because of respect on his person. If they give him some time and he didn't do the needful, they will start pointing direct fingers at him, that the governor is not doing well. People have said within 2 weeks that it's the appointees and all that. If you come to Ebonyi today, if you take away Minister of Works, take away Minister of maybe border peace like I mentioned earlier, maybe Minister of Local Government and Chieftaincy matters because of issue of chieftaincy. What other ministry do you hear? Before now, what you know Ebonyi State for is agriculture. You hear Ebonyi rice. But I can't say for sure, apart from reactivating the Ebonyi poultry, and it's also establishing Institute of feed farming. Not much thing is happening in the Ministry of Agriculture. I won't say you need to be decisive in disciplining his appointees, and I repeat it again, good politics the governor has played. One advantage he has is that, before now, this thing they call communal clashes is usually from politicians. Now he has brought all of them together. As at last week, the only place you may hear about skirmishes in Ebonyi is in Eda local government, formerly Afia South. And if you go down there, you know that it's between two politicians within Ebonyi. Superiority contest within the environment. So the governor has done well in playing politics, in enhancing peace in Ebonyi State. But we want him to match it with governance.
Great. I mean, I would have loved us to continue this conversation, but unfortunately, we have talked down the clock. I have to thank both of you so much for coming on the program tonight. Godfrey Chikwere is the GM of Legacy FM, 95.1 FM, Abakaliki, and Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Alex.
coming on the Eastern Eye tonight. And
Thank
Dr. Augustine Okolie, Policy and Management Consultant and former Director of the National Orientation Agency in Enugu State. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
That's the Eastern Eye tonight. Do join us tomorrow same time for another episode. My name is Alex Ogbodo. Good night.